Standing alone in the crowded international terminal, watching my own flesh and blood walk away was the exact moment my world shattered completely. The cold words of my mother still echoed in my ears as she told me that my ticket was gone, leaving me stranded in a foreign country. As she scanned the boarding passes for herself, my father, and my sister, I realized this entire nightmare was fully intentional and calculated. My name is Savannah, and I never expected to find myself surrounded by armed security guards in the middle of a busy airport in Paris. The bright lights of the terminal blurred as intense panic filled my chest while my family walked toward the airplane without looking back once. My sister Nadine had just shoved me away, and I felt a heavy object slip into my open bag right before the alarms began to blare loudly. For my entire life, I was always the lonely outsider in our wealthy household, working long hours to earn the approval of my father Harrison and my mother Brenda. Nadine was always the golden child who could commit no wrong, while my personal achievements were constantly minimized or completely ignored by everyone. This European vacation was supposed to be a celebration of my college graduation, but it quickly became an elaborate trap designed to isolate me. Throughout the entire trip, the strange behavior of my family made me feel incredibly anxious and uneasy every single day. My father frequently whispered to Nadine in quiet corners of our luxury hotel rooms, and they would immediately stop talking whenever I entered the space. I mistakenly believed that they were planning a wonderful surprise for my final night in France. But the reality was far more sinister than I could have ever imagined. When we arrived at the departure airport, my mother suddenly insisted on holding all of our travel documents, claiming she wanted to keep everything safe and organized. I trusted her completely because she was my parent, never suspecting that she was actively preparing to discard me like a piece of old trash. By the time we reached the boarding gate, my ticket had mysteriously vanished from the official stack of papers. When I reached out to grab the arm of my mother to demand an explanation, Nadine blocked my path with a cruel smile on her face. She pushed me backward with tremendous force, and that was the exact moment I felt her hand dive into my tote bag. Before I could even react or question her actions, she turned around and sprinted down the secure jet bridge with our parents. Suddenly, the loud security sirens began to wail across the gate area, drawing the attention of every single traveler nearby. Several armed French officers rushed toward me with their weapons ready, shouting intense commands in a language that I could barely understand. As I raised my hands in total shock, the aggressive guards ordered me to drop my personal bag onto the cold tile floor immediately. One officer reached into my bag and pulled out a strange black passport that did not belong to me or anyone in my family. The document was filled with fraudulent stamps and names that looked incredibly suspicious, making me look like a dangerous criminal to the authorities. I tried to explain that my sister had planted the illegal item inside my belongings, but the officers refused to believe a single word. During the grueling hours of interrogation inside a dim airport room, the terrifying truth finally began to dawn on my mind. My father had been under investigation for major financial crimes back home, and they needed a convenient distraction to escape the country. By planting illegal documents on me, they ensured that the international authorities would focus entirely on my arrest while they slipped away completely undetected. Stranded in a foreign jail, I refused to let the cruelty of my family completely destroy my spirit or my future. I contacted the local embassy and worked tirelessly with a legal representative to prove that I was an innocent victim of a framed job. When the investigators checked the security footage of the gate, they clearly saw Nadine shoving the black passport into my personal bag before fleeing. The evidence on the videotape was completely undeniable, and the international police quickly cleared my name of all criminal charges. The authorities realized that my parents and sister were the actual fugitives who were attempting to escape federal prosecution. Armed with the absolute truth, the police launched a global manhunt for Harrison, Brenda, and Nadine, turning the tables on my abusers permanently. Returning home to America alone was incredibly painful, but I felt a profound sense of freedom that I had never experienced before. I went to the authorities in my hometown and provided them with every piece of financial evidence I could find in our family house. My cooperation helped the federal agents freeze all the bank accounts and assets that my parents loved more than their own daughter. Months later, my family was finally apprehended at a remote resort where they were hiding under assumed identities. They lost their vast wealth, their freedom, and the comfortable life they had sacrificed my safety to protect. When my mother tried to call me from a federal detention center to beg for my forgiveness, I simply hung up the phone without saying a single word to her. That terrible day at the airport taught me that true family is defined by loyalty and love rather than shared bloodlines. I survived the ultimate betrayal by finding my own inner strength and refusing to become a silent victim of their corporate greed. Today, I am building a beautiful life filled with genuine people who value me, knowing that the worst storm of my life finally washed away the poison.